Black Scully on check. Got a little black tea on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. So this episode wasn't supposed to be out till like 6:30 p.m. I was going to record it and probably go live with it, but I couldn't contain myself with everything that was happening with college football this past weekend. So we gotta talk about it. And on today's docket, we got our Into the News segment. We'll talk about a lot of great games that we had this past weekend. I tweeted this out yesterday. I'm sure a lot of you already seen it, that I feel like we are approaching 2007 territory as it pertains to where we're at with college football right now. And it's incredible. Some of the games we see each week continues to say, give me a moment, hold my beer, and every week just gets better, and I just didn't think that was possible. Also, I was at the Washington and Maryland game yesterday, and it was incredible. Like, the atmosphere was incredible. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, we're going to talk about this Duke-Cal game. A lot of you all are guilty of falling asleep on these real late light games. You better stop doing it, because college football sometimes don't stop to 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're going to talk about that. Also, a stunner out in Berkeley with this UCLA and Penn State game. UCLA being able to win that game 42-37. I just can't believe that loss. I really can't. So my dog Jalen, shout out to Jalen, the journalist, he came up with a new segment called All We Do Is Win, because I'm always telling people to hold this L. So maybe we should shout out to some of the people who are winning as well. So we're going to do that on today's episode as well. It's going to be crazy. This episode's going to be like that. Got my little nephew Carter in the background. He playing Fortnite. He going to have fun and enjoy himself, so you might hear him. It's all good. We Gucci. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive
on
minds.
the
They have to be better on that side of the Alrighty, we got our Into the News segment, and we're going to talk about some of these games we saw yesterday. And I promise you that this thing just continues to get better and better. I'm not sure how this can continue. I'm not sure if our hearts as college football fans can take more of what we've seen this year. And you guys know that I hold that 2007 season in high regard. I think that is, imagine if that year had a college football playoff. I think I did a show on that over the summer. You know, in the summer we get bored, and that thing that you all call the off season. Well, not you all who watch this show, because you all are the 1%ers, but the people who don't watch this show, who aren't 1%ers, that thing that they call the off season. You know, it's one of those things that 2007 is just the creme de la creme. And I can only imagine what that season would have been like with a college football playoff. I think the difference is with this season, we actually do get a college football playoff. So we do get the 11 or 12 best teams based on your idea of what that G5 role plays. Because I think some of you think that, hey, the G5 don't deserve a team. And I'm here to say that the G5 have won some games against Power 4 teams, and not just subpar Power 4 teams. They've actually beaten creme de la creme teams. So that's what I got to say about that. So let's talk about this game that was in Louisville, Kentucky yesterday. Number 24, Virginia took on Louisville, and I'm not happy about this game. I'm not happy about this game at all, because all offseason I was telling you guys how great Louisville is. Now, will this take away from it? No, because I knew naturally it will be some cannibalization in all of the conferences, especially at the P4 level, and we might experience it in the American this year as well, because NIL has brung us the P word. The P word is what? Parity. NIL has brung us a lot of parity. So the fact that we have a team like UVA competing, like we was just talking about last week, you know, Tony Elliott having, you know, a program statement type win against Florida State a week ago, but to double down and go to Louisville and get a win in Louisville. Louisville got 8 home games this year. You heard me correctly. 8 home games is what Louisville has this season. And this game, to losing into overtime, this is a major loss for Louisville, in my opinion. If you guys want to compete with the Hurricanes of this conference, because the Hurricanes are indeed the best team in the ACC, there isn't a doubt in my mind. My apologies, Mario Cristobal and company. You guys, that Hurricane train is real, but we try to celebrate winners on the show. Jamari Taylor, 2-yard touchdown run, sealed it in overtime. Back-to-back incredible weeks for him. Back-to-back incredible games for this program. And I got to get our chief of communications our communication strategist, she had me moon to get me to one of these games in Charlottesville. It's only an hour and 15 minutes away from me. I have to go to one of these games. Virginia forced 2 defensive touchdowns, a fumble return by Donovan Platt, and a pick 6 by Cam Robinson. This is incredible. And I'm not going to talk about this game in a great detail because all of the Into the News segment it's just kind of briefly going over the game. But what I will say is I question the play calling. Why weren't they running the ball? Isaac Brown didn't get enough touches. Duke Watson didn't get enough touches. Why did that happen? Why should that be allowed? So as a Louisville fan, you say, okay, we lost into overtime. We know how good of a team we are, even if the rest of America don't think we're a good team, because clearly they didn't, because AP poll didn't even have you in the top 25. I had you in my top 25 since the preseason poll, and guess what? I got receipts to prove that I've had you in my top 25 since the preseason poll. But, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, you don't deserve to be there now. But why is Miller Moss, this is no disrespect to Miller Moss. I am a fan of Miller Moss. I am a fan to the way Jeff Brom and Brian Brom can develop quarterbacks. The last 2 that have been there in that position are now in the NFL. So, listen, there's no doubts in my mind about their ability to develop. I did think that Miller Moss was a great fit here, but why are we throwing the ball 46 times, was it? That's embarrassing. So, Virginia improves to 5-1 overall. Look out, the Cavaliers are coming 3-0 in the ACC. And this is their best start since 2007. So shout out to the Virginia Cavaliers and Louisville. You got to do better. Baylor, 35, Kansas State, 34. This is one of those games where yesterday's game, Merlin, I knew it was going to be sellout capacity at the Merlin game. That's the game I was at yesterday, so I wanted to get there early. I left extremely early because I knew I'll deal with traffic. It's always traffic. If you're from the DMV, you know it's always traffic headed up that way. So it's a lot of traffic. Still got there a few hours early. Like, when I got there, players were, like, working out in their, like, T-shirts and stuff like that. That's how early I got to the game. It's probably about 30 fans in the stands, and a lot of those were just parents of players or friends and family and stuff like that. Even so, Jad Fish come out. Jad Fish talked to one of the former GMs of the Jets who's still a scout, and that guy, I forgot his name, Terry Bradway. I think it is Terry Bradway. I'm pretty sure that's his name. He was like, are you a scout? Saying you look familiar. I was like, no, I'm CEO of College Football Nation. And so we talked. I said, who were some of your best draft picks? He mentioned Jarrell Reeves. So I think that was pretty cool. So just to be able to have the interaction. But back to this Baylor-Kansas State game. You know what really grinds my gears as a fan of college football, furthermore, as a personality in this college football space? It really grinds my gears when we have coaches who are defensive coordinators at their core, right? If you're a defensive-minded coach and you're a head coach, your team should be able to play defense, even if it's in the Big 12. Also, if you are an offensive type of coach and your team is struggling to score touchdowns, then something's not right with that. And what we've seen out of this Dave Aranda unit, somebody that does have the pieces defensively to play defense. Also, Sawyer Robinson is putting up points like it's nothing, and y'all struggling to win games because of the inability to play defense. To me, this is crazy, but Baylor was able to gut this one out. I thought Kansas State had a myriad of opportunities to win this game. We did have a pick 6 in this game. Sawyer Robinson was money, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns. Michael Trigg decided to show everybody, hey, I know I wasn't in a tight end conversation as it pertained to the NFL draft. I'm here now. I am here now. Had an outstanding win. I think Baylor moves to 2-1 in the Big 12 now, 4-2 overall. This is a team that should be 6-0. This is a team that absolutely should be 6-0. So it's one of those things where at some point you guys are going to have to play better defense. Granted, when it counts, you guys needed, to make a play defensively. You all were able to make the play. Outstanding. Great job in that aspect, but really exciting game. But I need Baylor to play better defense. I know this is Big 12 football. We know Big 12 games 8 times out of 10 are going to come down to the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. That's the way that conference is set up because these offenses are explosive. And if you are a team like Texas Tech, you're lucky to have a defense and you're able to bring your lunch pail. We're going to talk about Texas Tech a little bit later, but they're damn good. Speaking of which, Texas Tech 35, Houston 11. Baron Morton was money. We wasn't sure how he would play, who was going to be the starting quarterback, because we know that Will Hammond came in backup duty for Baron Morton when he got injured in the Utah game, so I was glad to see him back to business as usual. Joey McGuire's done an outstanding job in Lubbock building his program. He's done an outstanding job. Jacoby Williams, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Texas Tech, man, 5-0, outscoring opponents 243-56 through 5 games. That is incredible. Connor Wegman did leave this game with injury. Backup Zion Chris Ramillion did come in and play a little bit. This team is just really good. I knew this would be a tough game for Houston just based on what I've seen out of Houston. I have been impressed with them, but there were times that I felt like I'm not sure this team is who we think they are. And one of those moments was against Oregon State out there in Corvallis where they got down 14-0 early. Thank goodness Connor Wegman, who plays with an enormous chip on his shoulder just from everything he's been through, was able to will them back in and bring them back in. And Tanner Kazol had an outstanding game that day as well. But I don't know. Houston, they'll definitely be bowl eligible. I have no doubt about that in my mind. But I believe we will truly get a cannibalization in the Big 12. And as bad as I want to say Texas Tech is probably immune from it because they're able to win a game in all facets. That's offensively, defensively, special teams, able to win the war of attrition on the line of scrimmage. When you have plentiful resources and you already have a good team and you already recruit well, being able to utilize that transfer portal helps immensely. You know, we all know that. So, another great game. So, next on our list, we got Michigan was able to beat Wisconsin 24-10. The Luke Fickell question is not going to stop. Yes, they gave him an extension in the offseason. Yes, we do need to figure out numerically what does that mean. How much is the buyout? You know, is there a clause like we see in Sam Pittman contract? Hey, if you have a losing record, well, you only get this percentage of your payout. Versus if you have a winning record, would you get a higher percentage of your payout? I would just have to see the contract to see how that breaks down. And we knew that their schedule was going to be difficult anyway. I think they were the only non-SEC team to have a top 10 most difficult schedule in the country. And so we knew they were dealt with a huge task. But I thought they had an opportunity to beat Maryland. And once they lost that Maryland game, I said, whoa, I'm not sure how long Luke Fickell's going to be here. And he's a guy that I think that creates incredible culture. I think he made a grave mistake by making Phil Longo his offensive coordinator and running the air raid in Madison when they're known for their offensive lines and being able to run the ball with the likes of JT Taylor, with the likes of Ron Dane, with the likes of Melvin Gordon. They've always had Ball was another guy that was incredible for Wisconsin. They've always had the ability to run the ball. So you went away from what was your bread and butter, you know, in that side of the country for years. Like, it just didn't make sense for me, to be honest with you. Alrighty, Bryce Underwood continues to impress, 270 yards, 1 touchdown. Justin Haynes, 117 yards, 19 carries, 2 touchdowns. They're one of those teams where in the past you didn't really fear their passing game. I think you respect it now more than anything. Of course, with J.J. McCarthy, I think you respected it as well. But Bryce Underwood gives you such a unique skill set with his ability to scramble and make those off-script plays. And, you know, his ability to make plays from the pocket as well. But at the end of the day, you know, when you play Michigan, you need to stop the run game. And Wisconsin wasn't able to do it. It is what it is. Donovan McCulley had 6 receptions, 112 yards, 1 TD. Michigan defense held Wisconsin scoreless for 3 quarters after the opening drive. So that's incredible. They're doing it on both sides of the ball. And look how Big Ten, and shout out to the people in this space that were saying, hey, I think Michigan may be legit this year. I wasn't one of those people. You guys know I'm going to always be honest with you. If it's something that I didn't believe, I'll tell you. If I was wrong about something, I'll tell you. And through this first, 6 weeks of the season, it looks like I might have been wrong about Michigan. I did not know how they would survive. Their head coach being suspended and all of that stuff. So it's going to be really interesting. Let's talk about this next game. Alabama versus Vandy. Vandy's going to come up and hold this L. I'm just foreshadowing a little bit. Ty Simpson, incredible. He's just been playing incredible. 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jan Miller, $136 and a touchdown on the ground. Ryan Williams had a TD. Got a Ryan Williams sighting. I know we were very critical of him on Reaction Monday a week ago. So it'll be interesting. We got a lot to see with Alabama. It's crazy. I continue to use this parallel and this analogy, and I'll continue to use it again. You look at how you felt about Alabama around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on August 30th versus how you feel about them now. It's completely different, right? If we're being honest. And Vandy's inability to run the ball hurt them, specifically in the second half. It really did. So Clemson tied 4-1, and here they come. This SEC is about to be nasty. We're about to see some nasty work in the SEC. And, teams like Ole Miss and Texas A&M who are playing outstanding right now, both of them are undefeated. Losses are coming. Nobody will be undefeated in this conference. Losses are coming. I promise you. Florida has looked terrible the past few weeks. They was able to beat Texas 29-21. Arch Manning looked pedestrian once again. So did Steve Sarkisian. Let's stop putting all of the onus and the blame on Arch Manning because of clickbait. Steve Sarkisian just hasn't been able to dial up plays. Now, is Arch Manning a huge reason why? Possibly. But they've got to get it going. But DJ Lagway did have one interception, but other than that, he looked pretty good. He looked like the DJ Lagway that we thought we were going to see. So that's really interesting. Texas A&M beating Mississippi State 31-9. All Texas A&M has been doing is winning. That's all that they've been doing. They've looked impressive. They may be the team to beat in the SEC. Through the first few weeks of the season, I had a really good feeling about Texas A&M, and not that that's changed, but Ole Miss is trending in the right direction because they got a kid in Trinidad Chambliss, and we all know that Lane Kiffin's going to have a lot of questions to answer this week. They had a bye week. He was able to, kind of keep things chill, but this week he's going to get asked a lot of questions. Is Austin Simmons ready to go? If Austin Simmons ready to go, who's your starting quarterback? Lane Kiffin, you do have the ability to say nothing. You could mime like Shedeur Sanders did, but at the end of the day, I think the people who watch this game, watch it at a high level, not only watch the game, but also watch the All-22 film, there's no way you can look at what Trinidad Chambliss has done and say he's not the starter. Now, I know you could be possibly mortgaging your future by doing that because, this is his last year in college. Austin Simmons seemed to be more happier for Trinidad Chambliss than Trinidad Chambliss was, but you do have a decision to make. We all know that. And the fact that you guys are undefeated, you're playing elite ball, and a lot of us were hiring you last year, and you guys are looking better this year than last year is really, really surprising to me. So that's our Into the News segment. We're going to move right along. We got a lot to talk about today, so we're going to move on to the next section. All right, so this is all we do is win. All right, so this is Jalen Wilson's segment. He came up with this idea. He said, I'm always critical of people in this L segment, so let's shout out some of the teams that's been winning. So first on the screen is the team you actually see in my background right now, Memphis. Shout out to Memphis. First bowl-eligible team in college football. You think that will be from the Power 4 ranks? You think it will be from the SEC or from the Big Ten? The first bowl-eligible team this year is the Memphis Tigers, and they're playing outstanding this season. We all remember the comeback victory versus Arkansas, what they've been doing to their opponents. They got one of those coaches, man. Coach Silverfield is an outstanding coach. If you have not seen the interview with him and Moon, and you want to just see ball talk and just outstanding conversation, and it's not for clicks or nothing like that, if you go look at our live stream at American Media Days, I talked to some coaches, Jalen talked to some coaches, pull it up and just watch that. And it's ball talk, bro. It don't have the views that it deserves to have. It doesn't. But when I tell you, you listen to coaches that are just in their element and they're comfortable and they're talking with somebody that's engaging, the way Moon is engaging, the way Jalen is engaging, the way I am engaging, you have a true opportunity to listen to some outstanding talk. So please go check that out. But Memphis is incredible. Is there a team in America that can beat Memphis? Yes, there is. But I think once you start looking at this in the grand scheme of things, the American may cannibalize themselves. They really do. You look at what Navy's doing right now, what Tulane is doing right now, what USF is doing right now. Memphis, who I think is the best team in the conference. This is incredible. Brendan Lewis, Nevada transfer, 68% completion rate. I would like to see him get those interceptions down, but he does have 8 touchdowns on the season, 420 yards on the ground. Commanding Ryan Silverfield's offense like a veteran, the veteran that he is. And this is beautiful, but this team has got heart, this team has got swagger, and it got that Memphis grit. And then, you know how all offseason I was saying walking in Baylor? That's a rip off of walking in Memphis. Yeah, we're walking in Memphis. So Memphis Tigers, Ryan Silverfield, Brendan Lewis, all you do is win. So you deserve to get shout out right here. The Hurricane Train, my apologies to Miami. I didn't know you guys were as good as you were. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to believe it because I do believe at some point, and I still believe at some point, Mario Cristobal, but right now his team is playing. That Hurricane Train is real deal, 5-0. Stormed into Doak Campbell Stadium in a beautiful city of Tallahassee, and there were some fans, a bunch of fans, who commented on the show, and they were letting me know, no, Governor, you're wrong. Miami will win this game. They all said it, they all predicted it, and they were all right. So my apologies if you guys see this video. I'm shouting you guys out. The Hurricane Train is real. Carson Beck looks so comfortable in Shannon Dawson's offense. It's incredible. It's truly incredible. And that score is misleading if you didn't see the game. 28-22. Get out of here. That game was a blowout, bro. in every sense of the word, the game was a blowout. It wasn't even close. Thomas Castellanos played terrible. He really did. There was opportunity for Florida State to make plays. They didn't make them until it was too late to make them, right? And Carson Beck was surgical. He really was. Malachi Tony's real deal. Their running game is real deal. And Miami is ACC top dog. So Mario Cristobal, Carson Beck, and to the Canes, all you do is win. Shout out to you. You deserve to be on this segment. Cincinnati Bearcats. This is one of the feel-good stories of the college football season. I don't think enough people was talking about it. My opinion on this hire was really bad. I think a lot of people's opinion on this hire was really bad because a lot of us was like, there is no way in God's beautiful green earth that Cincinnati replaced Luke Fickell with Scott Satterfield. So, of course, you've seen the past 2 years, you say, all right, if there's a coaching candidate that is on the hot seat in the offseason on the thing that they call an offseason, not us, the 1%ers call it offseason, we said Scott Satterfield is definitely getting fired. 100% getting fired, right? And I never thought in a million years, and I tweeted this out, I never thought in a million years I'll be saying Scott Satterfield and Coach of the Year in the same sentence. But he deserves to be in the Coach of the Year conversation. He really does. Of course, Mike Elko deserves to be up there. Of course, Lane Kiffin deserves to be up there. Of course, Ryan Silverfield from Memphis deserves to be up there. And if I forgot anybody, my sincerest apologies. Ryan Day deserves to be up there 1,000%. And if they could put Matt Patricia up there, they should. I believe we just saw PJ Fleck say that's the best team he's seen in like 11 years. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Brendan Sorsby is playing out of his mind. And the great thing is I interviewed him at Big 12 Media Days. And that's one of the reasons why we travel as much as we do. And we go to these events because we want to get to know these players outside of the gridiron. And we'll talk about the gridiron, of course. But, yeah, Brendan Sorsby, Cincinnati came in with a focus. It was really focused at Big 12 Media Day. So, yeah, 12 touchdowns, 1 interception on the season. Evan Pryor ran for $111 or just 10 carries. You do the math. That's 11.1 yards per carry. And they're giving Cincinnati this balance. And the fact that they was able to beat Iowa State the way they was beat Iowa State, shout out to them. So, it's the Scott Satterfield, Brendan Sorsby, Evan Pryor, and the rest of the Bearcats. Shout out to you. All you do is win. Texas Tech Red Raiders, come on down. You guys are 5-0 on the season. Joey Maguire's Red Raiders are burning down every scoreboard they touch. They really are. 5 wins, 5 dominant performances, 243 points scored versus 56. That is the margin. And I know a lot of y'all going to say, but they were easy teams. Nah, they marched into Utah, handled business. Houston was undefeated. They handled business. This Texas Tech team is damn good. And Texas Tech is the quintessential example of if you are willing to spend money in college football, you have an opportunity to win. Ohio State won a championship last year. Why? Because they were able to spend money. We're seeing Texas Tech now play at a really high rate and play outstanding football. That's because they know that, hey, we could put up points. We had Zach Kelly as our offensive coordinator. He got a promotion, and he's the head coach of FAU right now. We couldn't play defense. So what we're going to do, we're going to get in the portal, find out who the best defensive players at every position that we need to pair with the kid Rodriguez, who they got a linebacker, and that's what they did. And they're playing phenomenally right now. So shout out to the city of Lubbock. Shout out to these Red Raiders. Shout out to Baron Morton. Shout out to Jacoby Williams. Texas Tech, all you do is win. So shout out to you. All right, let's move on to our next segment. Hold this L. All right, we got a few teams we're going to talk about in the Hold This L segment. And this segment is dedicated to Diego Pavia. Not that I was rooting for him to fail or anything like that. I just really thought, I think the kid is outstanding. I really do. I seen him play at New Mexico State, when they played Liberty in the 2023 Conference Championship, Con USA Championship. I was there at that game. I was like, who's this kid? He was impressive. But Diego, hold this L, bro. You spent all offseason chirping like you were the face of the revolution. And granted, you had Vandy outstanding start to the season, right? He was backing up some of your promises. Your team was looking outstanding to begin the season. I couldn't believe that victory versus South Carolina, albeit I know Lenore Sellers was injured, but that's a part of the game. This is a sport with 100% injury. You guys still were able to win that game. So I remember in the offseason, you and Ryan Williams was chirping, and I already knew whoever lost this chirping battle was going to be placed on Hold This L. So Diego Pavia, Hold this L. And this is not one of those things where you can say, oh, the onus is on this people. We weren't able to run the ball. Yeah, that's true. But you turned the ball over not once but twice in a red zone, Diego Pavia. So hold this L, bro. Listen, I know you got the Rocky spirit. I know you got Napoleon complex just like I got Napoleon complex. It's all good, brother. We rooting for you. We want you to win in the end. But just don't be talking trash. Don't be cashing checks in the offseason that in season can't cash. That's what you're not going to do. That's what you're not going to do. 30-14, and the onus of this loss is on you because you had 2 pivotal turnovers in the red zone. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. So, you, my friend, your punishment is you're banned from social media for 2 weeks. Go win some ball games, and then you'll be back. You'll be good. So, Diego Pavia, hold this L. Coming up next on Hold This L, James Franklin, bro. Welcome back, coach. It was just a week ago you was on Hold This L, so you ain't nothing new to this, right? You ain't new to this, right? Reunited and it fit. No, it don't. No, it don't. You guys just lost to UCLA, a winless UCLA, right? New offensive coordinator who had 2 days to prepare. Jim knows you hold this L too, bro. I've been bigging you up all off season, bro. You can't hold Matt Patricia jockstrap this season. I'm just being real. Don't shoot me, shoot Josh. Shoot the messenger. Shoot the way that y'all been playing, dog. A winless UCLA team. You guys are the first top 10 team to lose to a winless team since the year of 1985. Let that sink in. Y'all the first team to do that since 1985. 1985. And I'm going to say this. James Franklin 1,000% deserves to be fired. And I get a lot of Penn State fans were saying, well, how do we afford to pay out? Who are we going to get to replace him? You guys are living in fear. If you cool with living in mediocrity, it's okay. Keep James Franklin if y'all are cool and living in mediocrity. But if you guys want to win, put Booby in. Like, go get another coach. Will Stein is there from Oregon. That'd be an outstanding hire. Shout out to my dog D now. He was like, dude, I think they should go get Will Stein. Why? Oregon has been able to recruit really well. He could probably bring a few players that really love his system over to Penn State with them. Like, dude, Penn State's got to get out of this comfortability unless y'all just gonna be cool with mediocrity. Penn State, if you cool with mediocrity, your fan base should hold this L too. But if you actually want to make a transformational change and get James Franklin out of there, then get rid of him. But stop making excuses. Stop making excuses for a coach that is losing games like this. There's one thing to lose in Oregon. At home, whiteout, respectable. You losing to one of the best teams, if not best programs in all of college football. There's another thing to go out west to Pasadena. You look like horse you know what. Last year, when you went out west to play UCLA, thank goodness you came back and beat that game. And I thought we was going to see the same thing this week because I was like, yeah, it's deja vu. I've seen this before. But the fact that you allowed them with a new offensive coordinator put up 42 points, 2 practices, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. So, James Franklin, hold this L. Drew Aller, hold this L. Nick Singleton, hold this L. Katron Allen, hold this L. Jim knows you hold not 1 L, 2 L's, which makes you cool, J, bro. Penn State, hold this L. Up next, Arch Manning. Come on down, bro. We've been defending you for too long, bro. I've been defending you for too long. I shouldn't even say we. I've been defending you for too long, Arch Manning. Like, what type of performance was that in Gainesville? Like, I keep thinking it's like the play waiting for a Godot. I'm like, at some point it's gonna click for Arch Manning. It's gonna click, and I'm waiting. But just like the play waiting for Godot never shows, and Arch Manning you showed against Sam Houston, whoop-de-doo, which is the soundbite of the year, by the way. But dog, 2 picks. Your team fell 29-21, right? And that defense was supposed to be like this outstanding defense this year. What's up with that? What happened to that? Florida outmuscled them. I knew Florida was good defensively. They held LSU to 20 points. I think Miami was able to score like what was it like 26 points on them. But we knew Florida's defense was going to be good. That's what bothered me in this game. And I was talking to my dog, Road Dog, who runs S Pops the league with everybody. I went 3-5 this week. I ain't even upset about it because that's the beauty of college football. I ain't upset about it at all. We looking real mediocre right now, but we gonna figure it out. But Arch Manning, you got to hold this L, dog. You got to hold this L. There's a kid in South Bend, I think. I think there's a kid in South Bend that your head coach, Steve Sarkisian, would prefer over you. Shout out to my dog, Jalen. There's a kid by the name of C.J. Carr that I think that will operate this system much better than you. Kid in College Station by the name of Marcel Reed that will operate this system better than you. Kid in Oxford by the name of Trinidad Chambliss who will operate this system better than you. There's a kid in College Park, Maryland by the name of Malik Washington that will operate this system better than you. There's a kid out Seattle, Washington by the name of Damon Williams Jr. that will operate this system better than you. There's a kid out in Ann Arbor by the name of Bryce Underwood who will operate this system better than you. You not who everybody thought you were. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have the intangibles to be an elite quarterback. All it means is that you need another year. This is SEC. If you want to just put up stats and go play in the ACC, bro. Carson Beck is gone next year, transfer to Miami. Go play in Shannon Dawson offense if they can keep him because he'll probably get a head coaching job. Go play in his offense and go light up competition. But the SEC, dog, you got to bring better than that. So, Arch Manning, you hold this L, bro. Yeah, you Peyton, Eli, come on, bro. Reel them in. Get them together. For real. Louisville, y'all up next. Hold this L, man. 8 home games this year. Y'all got 8 of them. And this is one of them. And you lost to UVA. And I'm not saying UVA is a bad team. They're not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. But you at home. And the reason that you lost is your own fault because you refused to run the ball. You got 2. Not 1, but 2. I don't know about those. Amazing running backs. And you all refuse to run the ball. That's on you all. That's when you're 100%. So Louisville hold this L. I've had you guys in my top 25 since my preseason top 25 because I knew that you all had 8 home games. And I said, well, if they can handle business there, 3-1 on the road, 2-2 on the road, you guys will be just okay. But overtime loss to UVA. And you guys refuse to run the ball. That's what you get, bro. That's what you get. Hold this L. Don't got time for it. So let's get into some game reactions. First game reaction we're going to get to is a game that I was at. And when I tell you guys, this stadium was electric. The fans showed up. The fans show out. Maryland don't get a lot of sellouts. They're not like, that team in Lincoln that has had sellouts for like almost 60 years now. That's not Maryland. Maryland is a town, especially College Park specifically. It's a town you have a lot to compete with. Not too far from Washington, D.C., not too far from Baltimore. There's a lot of attractions, a lot of things to do. And if you aren't playing well, they're not going to reward you by showing up. They're not like other programs. But the fan base was out. They was out early. I had the ability to get to this game really early. Seen Jed Fish talking to Terry Bradway. Was able to get some pictures of Jed Fish. Was able to get some really nice pregame footage that I was able to get. And it was just an outstanding time being there. The atmosphere was crazy. It was hot. This is weird. Like an 80-degree day in the summer, you're like, wow, it's a nice day. An 80-degree day in the fall is sweltering, especially with this humidity, man. I'm telling you, it's so sweltering, man. But yeah, the crowd, 46,000 deep in College Park. Like I said, I'm at a lot of those games, and I've never seen the crowd this raucous. The one against Michigan State was pretty live last year, so was the USC, but it wasn't a sellout crowd. Neither one of those games were sellout. And Maryland came out in this game, and they wanted to make a statement, right? Malik Washington, true freshman. He's played outstanding this year. There are some growing pains that he will learn in this game. There's absolutely some growing pains that when he looks back on this game, he will say, hey, I had opportunities. There was more meat on the bone, and we just didn't execute. And that's growth. That's what it's all about when you're a true freshman, right? But this game may come back to haunt Maryland, right? So they marched right down the field, hit the opening field goal. I was like, all right. It's electric. This is after forcing a turnover, like early in the game, right? Then they got the ball back, was able to score a touchdown. We see Malik Washington scored a touchdown, do the flip in the end zone. I was actually standing at the end zone, and if you look on my YouTube shorts right now, that's one of my shorts, and it actually did really well. You see him running in the end zone and do like the little layup as he scored. So it's like 10-0. Right before the first quarter even ended, it's 10-0. And I'm looking, I'm saying, is Washington not the team that I thought they were? Or is Maryland better than I thought they were? Because I knew, Maryland didn't really play grand competition. The toughest team that they played so far this season was Wisconsin, but they also played NIU. They also played Towson. They also played FAU. So my fear was that, hey, these guys haven't played enough top-flight competition yet. So I knew that, that Washington was going to come in there and with a point to make, especially after losing to Ohio State a week ago. So it's 10-0. Add another field goal. By halftime, we're looking at a 13-0 score. And I'm saying, if Maryland can come out drive the ball down the field right after halftime. 20-0. I don't see Washington coming back from that. I couldn't be even more wrong, right? That's the way it looked on the sideline, right? So early third quarter, it is 20-0. And that's where everything changed. And you can sit in a building. You know how sometimes you're in a movie theater, right? And inside of the movie theater, like, you could tell there's a change in music. And you know they try and scare you, but you try and be thugged out. You try and be strong. But the anticipation is so crazy. So that moment when you think the ghost or whoever's about to jump out, they don't jump out. Or whatever paranormal activity is about to happen. Any of those scary movies, it don't happen. But in the stadium, there was like this uneasiness. Like, yeah, we up 20-0. Yeah, this environment is incredible. We're just uneasy. Just 100% uneasy, right? And that's where everything just changed, man. Maryland didn't lose this game. They just stopped playing it. Really, that's all it was. Like, you had opportunities to win this game, and sometimes you got to have that killer instinct, whether that's as a head coach, whether that's a coordinator or a defensive coordinator, and you got to think that we got to score more points. That's not even enough. And once you have that mindset, you'll win games like this. But Washington offense just couldn't buy a rhythm the first two quarters. But Jed Fish, Demond Williams Jr., they kept believing. You can see it on their faces. It was no panic. Granted, I'm always on the visitor team sideline in most stadiums just because that's where less security officers are. And typically on the home side, believe it or not, on the home side, there's typically less room because they don't want a lot of media and stuff over there. The away side, there's a lot more room. So you can walk by, you can chill. Like, ain't nobody bothering you for real. And it's incredible what we've seen. Like, I look at this game, and I look at the poise and the resilience of Demond Williams Jr. You have to say, like, this is an incredible performance. I look at a performance like this and say to myself that this is one of these game-changing performances, and if they're ever faced with this situation again, hopefully they aren't because they're a really good football team. They could be like, hey, you remember that Maryland game? Kind of look at each other. Remember the famous Cam Newton speech at halftime? You know what I'm saying? It was like one of those moments. So watching Demond Williams Jr. operate. Also, he's listed as 5'11". He's not 5'11". Doesn't mean anything. He's incredible, man. And Washington's offense just slowly came alive. They just slowly came alive. And the Huskies' last 5 drives. Let me give you the numbers for their last 5 drives. 45 plays, 298 yards, 24 points. Temper's last 4 drives. 19 plays, 52 yards, 0 points. What's the biggest thing that stand out to you there? Right? Because easily we can equate the yardage and the 0 points, but to me it was the way that they were able to possess the ball. Typically when you have a lead, the ideology is, hey, we're going to possess this ball, especially in a nice league. We're going to possess this ball and start, running some timeout, right? To me, that's coaching. No disrespect, Mike Loxley. That's lack of composure. That's also lack of belief. And on Washington's side, that's amazing coaching. That's outstanding composure. And that's outstanding belief, right? And while Maryland was stalling, right, they had 2 possessions in between the end of the third, beginning of the fourth, 3 plays and out. Total time was 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Imagine having a lead. 2 back-to-back 3 and outs. And the total time you took from that time is 2 minutes and 52 seconds. What does that mean, Governor? That means your defense is on the field quite a lot. That's what that means. Your defense is on the field. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Your defense is on the field because you can't put drives together. That's nerves. That's not wanting to make a mistake. Like, somebody needed to go make a play. And that play was not made at all, right? Shout out to Denzel Boston. That kid is every bit of 6'4". That kid is legit. I'm interested to see what he runs in a 40 because I promise you, scouts are going to love him. Desmond Robach, both caught touchdowns in that fourth quarter avalanche. It was surgical. It was 100% surgical. And the poise and resilience of Demond Williams Jr., I continue to say it. He didn't have his best game by any stretch of the imagination. This was a team that was once, second in the nation in scoring, are looking at halftime being down 13-0 at halftime. Then I forgot what part of the third quarter Maryland scored, but then ended up being down 20-0. A team that could score the point at a high clip. So, talk about Washington a little bit. Talk about both teams. Let's talk about Maryland. You had a 20-0 lead at home, bro. 20-0 lead at home. College Park, like I said, the energy was electric. College Park ain't one of those stadiums like you guys hear me talk about Lane Stadium in Blacksburg. That's one of those meccas. Clemson is the same way. There are some stadiums I haven't been in, but I'll tell you if I've been to a stadium if it's loud or not. Lane Stadium is crazy. You can't hear yourself think. You really can't. College Park ain't like that. If the team is playing good, they'll probably show up. They playing really good, they will show up. They playing decent, they may decently show up. They're playing bad, they won't show up. That's what you have in College Park. So you had the crowd, you had momentum, you had control, and you blew it. And not because Washington was lucky by any stretch of the imagination, but because you got lazy. This is a game of 4 quarters. 60 minutes, no matter how you slice it. If you play phenomenally for 40 minutes and horribly for 20, you may lose the game. That's the way it works, especially at the collegiate level where you get poison bunches. You do get a temporary time stoppage. When a team gets a first down, there are opportunities to come back in the sport. That's why I always feel like a game ain't over until it's over. Mike Locksley, I said you was on the hot seat heading into the season. You guys have done what you're supposed to do as far. Best win in Wisconsin, like I said a little bit earlier. Yes, it was an outstanding win. You beat Luke Fickell team on the road where I thought Billy Edwards Jr. and them will be motivated to play you. Yes, you won a game. Outstanding. Outstanding. But if you look at the sideline, you look in the stadium, right? You immediately start to see everybody frantic. Other than the Washington sideline, they jumping and around. You see the towels in the air and them jumping. Maryland side just look like they're at a funeral. The fan base looked the same way. Everybody could feel it was coming. It's one of those things like when you're in the stadium and you're just shaking your head the entire time. The entire time. The run game. What was the run game at Mike Locksley? 57 rushing yards total. Malik Washington's solid stat line, but you guys needed to have a running game this game, especially when you had the lead. 6 plays, 252 minutes taken off the board. I'm sorry, 2 minutes and 52 seconds taken off the board. That's embarrassing. It is so embarrassing. And then we look at it when Washington finally took the lead with 3 minutes and 21 seconds left when Jonah Coleman scored a touchdown. There was no life on the Maryland sidelines. It was just utter disbelief. We didn't have anybody on the sideline. Come on. Let's get it together. We still got an opportunity. Yes, we played horrible the second half, but we got to drive right here. Let's go take care of business. That didn't happen at all. Just didn't happen. Chad Fish, great coaching job. Outstanding job. Your staff believed the entire time. Your players believed the entire time. I don't know what that halftime speech was like. I wish I could have been a bug on the wall to see it. I promise you I wish I could have been a bug on the wall to see what you all said at halftime that really changed things around. The final numbers tell the story. Washington outgained Maryland 393 yards to 274 in total yards. Picked up 28 first downs to Maryland 18. Dominated time of possession. Not really. They won by a minute, but it was a minute more than they needed, right? Because Maryland should have dominated time of possession after you have a 20-point lead. That's what you say. It's just laziness, man. Washington traveled 3,000 miles to College Park, down 20-0, and walked out 24-20 winners. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy to me. And like I said, the biggest thing that happened was that Maryland drive in the end of the third, beginning of the fourth, 6 plays. You know what I'm saying? 2 possessions, 6 plays, 3 and outs, 2 minutes and 52 seconds. That lost you the game. That 100% lost you the game. And then you needed your freshman quarterback, who's probably riled up at this point, like, yo, we had a 20-point lead and we blew it. So, of course, he couldn't get the job done. So, we celebrate winners here. Great win by Maryland. Great win by Washington. It's sad. What I really wanted to say was it's sad for Maryland because their fan base really showed out. Just amazing play by Washington, bro. Absolutely. We celebrate winners here. We're going to move on to this next segment. We're going to talk about this UCLA and Penn State game. Alrighty, so we saw a unicorn in college football yesterday. We saw a team who fired his head coach a few weeks ago. Tino Sinceri and the program agreed to go separate ways. I'm a huge Tino Sinceri fan. I truly believe that even after the debacle here that he will have opportunities elsewhere. But in 2 days, their new offensive coordinator, Jerry Nussel, had to prepare this team for this game. They scored 42 points on a coordinator that I really respect, and Jim knows. I think that's where I started to say, wait a minute, what went wrong with Tino Cesare? Why weren't they buying into the system? And why did this kid, Jerry, with 2 days, was able to put up 42 points on the board? Great scene out there, by the way. And to the security guard that was trying to stop people from running on the field, bro, you hold this L. I forgot to put you on hold this L as well, but great scene out there in Pasadena, California. That program needed a win of this proportions. They 100% needed a win of epic proportions, right? UCLA shocked the world. Yeah, Iamaleava. When a hero comes along like Mariah Carey, he carried this team 100%. 5 touchdowns. I think it was 2 through the air, 3 rushing. And we just saw something that, like I said, this is a unicorn in college football. I don't even know where to start with this one. We've all seen upsets, right? We've seen miracles. We've seen the beauty that this game brings. We've seen this year that each and every week, it tells the previous week to hold my beer. But this is something I haven't seen before. A top 10 team coming off a loss, and they have a team that they should beat. Go handle business. Like, we about to take you guys look like Oregon to us. You're out west. Y'all look like Oregon to us. We going to put hands and feet on y'all. Your head coach is going to look like Dan Lanning. Your quarterback's going to look like Dante Moore. And we're going to be ready to kill you. That's what my entire thought process would have been the entire time. Right? And this is why I say James Franklin got to go. I said it in the whole this L. I'm going to say it again. He got to go, 100%. So UCLA, 0-4. No head coach. Right? New coordinators. No momentum. No belief from anybody. People hitting the portal because they got 30 days to enter the portal. Right? And they just stunned Penn State 42-37. He good. This might shouldn't pick most of it up. Let me say it again. 42-37. So it led me to believe a lot of things. I've never, ever seen Jim Knowles' defense carved up like this. Ever. I don't believe there was a time at Oklahoma State, even in the Big 12, that I've seen his defense carved up like this. Drew Aller. I'm so tired of defending Drew Aller, bro. I really am. I'm so tired of defending this guy. And because I know all of it's not on him. I know it's not all on him. I know Andy Kotelnicki is some of the blame as well. But this is bad. This is really bad. And we know that Penn State really has like one way to win. Build a lead, play outstanding defense. That's how they win. They're not built to come from behind. But we did see them do it last year against USC. So I was thinking maybe in Pasadena they'll have a little bit more of that magic and be able to come from behind in this one as well. But this one is bad. This one is it's so bad. Like, I feel for Katron Allen, who could be in the NFL right now. I feel for Nick Singleton, who could be in the NFL right now as well. Drew Aller could even be in the NFL right now. I just feel for these players who came here for one goal, to get back into the playoffs. I want to say something that some of you are going to be ready to shoot me for, but all is not lost for Penn State. They got to win the rest of their games. Not sure if that's possible, but they got to do it. They got to find a way to do it. And this is not what Jim Knowles came to Happy Valley for. He came to Happy Valley with an opportunity to face Ohio State, whether it's in the conference championship or when they play like week 7 or so, maybe week 9. And he came there to get an opportunity to get back at his previous employer because he felt like he wasn't respected. I think that's why 100% he came back. But shout out to Jerry Newsell. It was amazing watching his dad, who works for CBS, being able to see the emotions. You know, he was getting emotional just thinking about everything he'd been through, how much his son loves UCLA. And to have a moment like this, the NFL could never. That's what one of my tweets. The NFL could never compete with the magic of the college football season. It just could never compete with it. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you don't hold that belief. I know a lot of you guys who watch NFL will say it's blowouts in college football all the time. Well, that's the magic of it. You can have a team. Like right now, UCLA was probably ranked, for those who do rank all 136 teams, in the bottom 110, 115. And they just beat the top 10 team. You could never get that in the NFL. It's not enough teams. The program in the NFL is set up for you to be successful. Teams who are not successful, they've employed bad general managers. They've employed bad coaches, so they have not drafted the best teams, or they're not a destination that many people want to come to. The NFL, there is a little bit of fairness. College football holds no fairness. There ain't no drafts. You better recruit, and you better hope players want to stay on your team. And if you do get a good one, like San Jose State got that wide receiver right now, Scooter, however you say his name, he gone next year. You know it 100%. He's gone. They're not going to be able to afford the money. That's what college football is. They don't feel sorry for nobody, dog. NIL has brought a little bit of parity because if your school does have any resources, and if there are even a little bit plentiful, you have the ability to pay players. That's what you have. So, this loss right here, one of the worst losses I've ever seen a top 10 team ever take. It really is. I know some of you will go to the USF and Florida game. Some of you will probably go to App State, Michigan, 2007. Some of you probably go to I think it was App State, Texas A&M, a few seasons ago. This one is the worst one. They were 0-4. They had never led in a game. It's one thing being defeated. It's one thing never having a lead in a game. So in no part, you played, 4 games already? So no part in 240 minutes did you have a lead? Not one? Not one time. That's 4 hours. Did they have a lead at all in the season? Embarrassing. This is the worst top 10 loss I've ever seen. Worst top 10 loss. Maybe I'm being, maybe it's recency bias. Maybe I'm being a prisoner of the moment. But what do I always say about college football? It is a what have you done for me lately sport. If you look at Penn State's last 2 games, they, lost the whiteout game. Cool, you lost to Oregon. At home, waste of a whiteout, yes. I do share those sentiments. But to go out west and then lose to UCLA in the fastest that you lost them to, it wasn't like a 16-13 game, 13-10 game. A team that has never led at all this season scored 42 points on you, bro. Nico Iamaleava. I couldn't be more happier for the kid because I predicted this team would be bowl eligible. I did. I didn't predict them to play it terrible as they did, or Deshaun Foster to get fired, or Tino Ciceri to step down from the job. But Nico, 17-24, 166 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 128 yards rushing, 3 more scores on the ground. And then when you look at him, he was giving his all. He was tired. You see he was cramping up. He was beaten up. he only weighed probably 200 pounds flat, if that. I would, even though he's like 6'4", I'll probably say he's probably like 190. But the kid gave it his all. And to see teams compete like this is the stuff that Casey Killer talks about doing when, Sam Houston made the jump from the FCS level to the FBS level. And his wife came over and said, hey, you look happy, even though you guys aren't winning. He said, we 0-8, but I've never seen an 0-8 team practice as hard as this one is practicing. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Nico Iamaleava. Super happy for him. Tennessee fans found a way to make it about them instead of saying, great game, kid. They said, oh, yeah, you did a favor for us. Now we don't got to worry about Penn State as it pertains to the college football playoff. And that's probably the, answer you're going to get down in Knoxville. But shout out to Nico. Shout out to this team. Shout out to Jerry Newsell. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing them pick you up, giving you the Gatorade bath. And what a win for that city of Pasadena. LA is one of those places. It's so hard to get your fan base to come out unless you're really good because there's so much to compete with out there. So now they may give the fans a reason to come back to watch this team next week. I think they really have done that. But 42 points is not supposed to happen. So Jim knows what's going on. Then it's Danny Sutton. What's going on? Why are you guys give up 42 points to UCLA, a team that hasn't led all week? All week. Outgained Penn State 446 to 357 yards. Embarrassing. I rushed them 280 to 127. Ain't that y'all calling card? Ain't that y'all wheelhouse, the ability to run a ball? Converting 10 of 13 on third down. Embarrassing. Do you guys watch college football or do you just skim through it? I have the feeling that Penn State kind of skimmed through this week. It's UCLA. They're playing terrible. We're just going to beat them. That's why you need to do the work. Any given Saturday, dog. Any given Saturday. The willpower, the gut, the fortitude for UCLA to be in this moment and say, hey, we know Penn State just lost. They don't got nothing to do with us. And to handle business, that's incredible. That's incredible. Jim knows, improve. Because your schedule's only going to get more difficult. And you lost to the team that many people thought is maybe the sorriest Power 4 team is the team that you guys just lost to. Yeah, that's embarrassing. But maybe they're not the sorriest anymore. So, shout out to UCLA. No shout out to Penn State. UCLA's first win against a top 10 team since 2007. The first 0-4 team to beat a top 10 opponent in 40 years, like I told you earlier. Last time that happened in 1985, it was UTEP versus BYU. Embarrassing, man. But like I said, we celebrate winners here. Shout out UCLA. We're going to get into our last segment. 20 points. Alrighty. So this last segment is Duke versus Cal. Not sure why I got the wrong overlay on this joint, but give me a moment. Get her done. We right there. So question to everybody. If you're a 1%er, I know it. But do you watch college football or do you just skim through it? Do you care about this sport the way that I care about this sport? Would you be live at 3 p.m. on a Sunday when you know the NFL teams are playing? I don't care. If the Bills aren't playing, I don't care. And I will be watching the Bills game tonight, but while I'm watching the Bills game, guess what I'm going to be doing? Preparing tomorrow's show. And don't be surprised if I don't prepare it immediately after this recorded now, you guys get it live tomorrow. Because I got a reaction Monday tomorrow with my dog, Nino. So, super excited about this. So let's talk about Duke Cal. Do you watch college football or do you just skim through it? Do you watch college football or do you just skim through it? We had an outstanding game. Yesterday, it was one of those 10 p.m. games, and a lot of our thought process was one of, hey, all right, this is a really late game for Duke, but we couldn't make any excuses for them because Cal and Stanford sometimes got to travel east and play really early games out east, and nobody feels sorry for them, so of course nobody's going to feel sorry for Duke. So we didn't know if they'd have a sluggish start. But then I thought to myself, most of these kids aren't like the rest of us. I'm an early bird. Every sleepover I went to, I was always the first one to go to sleep. And if people try to toothpaste me or the little shaving cream stuff, all that, I'm ready to fight right afterwards. But I've always been that way. I've always been conditioned to go to sleep early. That's just who I am. Even now, I'm in bed early. But these kids, they'll play their game Saturday, go to parties, be big man on campus, go home, play 2K, and it's like 5 in the morning next thing you know. So while it's a 10 p.m. game, and for most of us, it's even a struggle for me to stay up that late on Saturday. I ain't going to lie to you. I stay up because I love this sport, but it's a struggle. I promise you it's a struggle. I even got to practice on Friday sometimes because it's a struggle. Because during the week, if it ain't no games, we don't got no Fun Belt, we don't got no Con USA, or we don't got no Max, and I'm going to bed, bro. It is what it is. I'm an early bird. I love waking up around 3:45 in the morning. So, great game yesterday between Cal, for Duke, and Duke. And it was one of these games where it went as I expected, but not fully as I expected. I didn't expect JKS to play as terrible as he did. 3 interceptions, really 4. If you watch the game, you know it was 4. Just really one of those things where you feel for the kid, but like I said, sometimes it's lessons and losses. Sometimes it's just lessons and losses. So, but let's talk about Duke, because like I said, this is one of those late night games. I wasn't sure, like I said earlier, what type of Duke we would get, but let's give credit due where it's due. Duke didn't blink. They was down 14-0 midway through the first quarter, and when you're watching the game, you say, okay, some of the things that you were worried about this game being so late that they were going to take a little bit to wake up. But it looked like right out the door that Cal was like, okay, we found out offense. We've been struggling offensively. Let's go make it happen. But then Duke wins 45-21. That's a 45-piece on the road, 3,000 miles away from home. That's beautiful. But let's set the stage a little bit. Cal came out hot. 2 quick touchdowns. The crowd's rocking. Duke looks sluggish. And I get worried because there's some seasons like this past offseason, or what they call an offseason, but it's in season for us because we talk college football 24/7, 365, where, I felt really good about this Manny Diaz unit. I like that they got their guy, like how quickly that they got their guy via the portal, and Darian Mensah has played lights out for them. His ability to process is incredible. It truly is incredible. But there's been times this year that they just haven't looked really good to me. They just haven't, just to be completely honest. But this is one of those games I was proud of their composure. I really was. And after being down 2 touchdowns, they look extremely sluggish. That's when Darian Mensah just calmly engineers 4 straight scoring drives. 4 straight scoring drives. 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, no panic. What you get out of this Darian Mensah kid is incredible. It really is. And we always look at coaches and we always talk about teams. And I thought there was going to be a huge void left by Mike Elko when he left Durham. And a lot of people down there, a lot of that fan base didn't like the way he left. I didn't like the way he left. I respect Jed Fish, but I didn't like the way he left Arizona. But this is the business. Sad side of the business, but it's it's the business. You know what I'm saying? Nate Shepard, Aaron Castle. Great games by them. You know, a lot of Darian Minshew gets a lot of the hype, but great games by them. They punched in 2 touchdowns. Jacquez Moore scored another one on the ground. They were dominant. It was a physical beatdown. After the 14 points were scored by Cal, they went on that 45-7 run. This game looked very much like the San Diego State and Cal game. It was one of those things like deja vu all over again. We had seen this before. And shout out to Duke defense. They give up the points that they gave up early, the way that they giving them up, and then to be able to buckle down and go on a 45-7 run. I think that's incredible. So JKS, Jaron Kiwi, Sagapu, Latele. I always try to say it every time, but it's JKS. 45 yards and touchdown, but 3 picks. Really 4 picks. When I almost called back, he really threw 4 picks, and they actually had to set him. Coach Wilcox set him. I think Devin Brown played like a few downs, but it was a bad performance. But, you know, reevaluate, get to it. It's not that he's a true freshman. Sometimes true freshmen are going to play like what, Governor? They're going to play like true freshmen. It is what it is. I think the craziest part of it all is Duke was able to win that war of attrition on a line of scrimmage because this wasn't one of those things with simulated pressures. They were showing a lot of mug fronts or anything like that. That wasn't the case. They was getting pressure with 4. So some of that onus has to be on the offensive line, and they got to find a way at home. You know, it's a regular time game for you all, but that's a late game for Duke and these kids on the East Coast. And you started hot, but what happened? Why did it fizzle so easily? That's the question I got to ask. Darian Minshew, 19-29, 265 yards, 2 tutties. Sharing the sugar. Rashawn Brown, 6 catches, 140 yards and a touchdown. Great performance by him. And he kind of said it best after the game. We can catch them. They can't catch us. Duke's a really good team. I think they'll be there in the thick of things in the ACC. I'm telling you that second team in the ACC who's in the championship with it should be Miami, unless Miami had one of those falls like they did a year ago. May have 3 losses. They just may have 3 losses. And in some discussions, they could have 4 with only like 1 or 2 ACC losses. That's what we're about to see in the ACC 100%. I talked to you a lot about what Duke brings to the table. I shout out to the people who shouted me out for breaking down that game. They said they couldn't really see previews anywhere, so that lets me know this week more previews, even more previews for teams that, you know, a lot of people don't cover. Because here it's always been about covering the FBS. You want the FCS, you got to check out my dog, CFB Moon and World of College Football. He does a great job of covering FCS, HBCU, all of that. I try to cover all the FBS. Did we spend more time with the P4 than we do G5? Absolutely. But did we talk G5 ball? Yes. Did we start the show off with G5 ball? Yes. We did, 100%. So what does Justin Wilcox and company do now? Because during the prediction segment of this game, when I was going through it, I talked about both of these teams. I talked about how both of these teams have given us Heckle and Jadat. And in this game, we saw Heckle and Jadat from Cal. We seen them start real strong, and then it became interception central. And then Duke got extremely hot. They went on a 45-7 run. That right there is crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy to me. So we can't see this Heckle and Jadat act. How good can Duke be? And some of the questions that I asked myself after this game. Cal defense, even though their offense has looked really great sometimes, bad sometimes, they was only giving up 18 points per game. Then Duke just dropped a 45-piece on them. Like Michael Jordan, I'm back. Duke is now 4-2. Key statement. This is why I say somebody in the ACC could either have 3 losses or 4 losses. They're 3-0 in the ACC. As bad as we've seen them play in some games, they're still 3-0 in the ACC. That's incredible. So, Duke 45, Cal 21. What do we expect from both of these teams? I still expect Cal to be bowl eligible. I expect them to be a game over 500 bowl eligible, not 500 bowl eligible. And Duke has an opportunity to play for the ACC championship. So that's what I expect from both of these teams. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. I talked about a lot of great things today. This was my reaction show. So y'all know how I go down Sunday. Tomorrow we're going to start doing previews. We're going to do 3 or 4 previews. Since you guys like them so much and we're showing a lot of love on the YouTube, we're going to start kicking up the YouTube. Since I always like to say, there's no more victories in the sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, you all take care. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two
CJ
great
on
defensive
the
minds.
keyboard.
They have to be be better on that side of the ball.